Welcome to another episode of Full Circle Podcast. Hope you guys are doing well. We are starting fresh again and yet anew, and I'm very excited for you to be here. So thank you for joining. Listen, I've got some stuff I've been thinking about for like the last couple of days, and I just want to get right into it. But before I do that, if you are listening to this, whether you're on Spotify, Apple Podcast, maybe you're watching this on YouTube, maybe you saw this clip on Instagram or TikTok. Yes, we do have TikTok. TikTok is back, which is absolutely crazy. So we'll have an episode where we actually talk about kind of like social media and where that's all going in terms of staying connected. But if you're doing that, go ahead and give us a follow _ Full Circle Pod. So that's @ Full Circle Pod. You can also like this. You can subscribe. You can share this with a friend. And then send me a DM or leave us a comment. I want to hear from you. All right. So I want to tell y'all something. This is something I've actually been thinking about. And I know we talked about like our first episode, I believe, of 2025 was about like New Year's resolutions, and we talked about like what is your revelation behind the resolutions that you make, right? And of course we've talked about a variety of things since then, but I really want to share something with y'all about like pretty much like what are you doing, how do you lean into that, right? Like what's the attitude of your experiences in life? And I can kind of sum that up in one sentence where I'm like, do it for the plot. Okay. Right now, the theme that I've been living my life by right now, as we're almost into February, is do it for the plot. And sometimes I guess what I've just been finding is that it can be really, really easy for life to start getting very monotonous. You have a routine, whether, you work at a job where, okay, I start at 9 a.m., I get off at 5 or whatever that routine is, right? And then you just are like, okay, I'm going to go to the gym at this time. I'm going to do this at this time, whatever. It's really, really easy for life to start feeling kind of stale. And I don't know about you guys. Maybe some of you guys, you're listening and you're like, dude, I love this so much. Like, I love having my routine, like starting at 9 and 5 and I have my gym time at this time and I only go at this time so that I can avoid all the crazy people that go to the gym around 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. and they rush into the gym and they sit on their weight and they're on their phone between sets. I don't know if you guys can relate to that, but I like to do circuit training when I work out at the gym. I don't like sitting and just waiting around for people. So what I tend to do is I'll make a bunch of workouts. So I'll start off like, let's say I'm doing chest day today, right? Which today is Monday. So that's actually chest day today. I got to hit the gym after this. So there you go. But I love to do like push-ups first, right? So I'll start off push-ups till failure. There it goes. I'll start off and do push-ups till failure, right? And then when I'm done with that, then I'll hop on and get a nice little chest press in, and I'll give myself like 10 to 12 reps of that. And then I'll go from there to usually doing like seated flies, or I'll use cables. It just depends. And then from there, I will do dips. And then from there, I will do like pretty much ab crunches, like a whole ab little circuit. And then that'll be one set. Some of y'all might be listening to that and y'all might be like, this guy is crazy. This guy is crazy. I don't love doing that. I can only sit down and just do one set. See, you're the people that get on my nerves when I'm at the gym. You're the people when I'm at the gym and you're just doing like your whole set is just like chest press. And then you sit down and then you're on your phone for like 2 to 3 minutes. And then you get back on again. You just don't realize your own strength. But those are the people that get on my nerves because I'm like, dude, I'm here to get in and get out. I'm not trying to, I'll talk to people and say hi, but I'm not trying to meander around the gym. I want to like get that workout in. I want to get that pump in and I want to feel good about it. Right. But I say all that to say, essentially, when it comes to routine, right, we all know what we have as a routine that we like. I just tend to be somebody that doesn't really like routine as much all the time. There are some things I really love my routine about, and I'm like on it. But what I was thinking about was, are you getting so stuck in your routine that it's starting to feel like it's losing its sense of like it's losing? Is your routine losing its aura? Is it losing its vibe? Do you feel like you're just like losing passion and there's no excitement in what you're doing? And I think it's really, really easy to get into that because so much of our life, especially as we start growing up and we have responsibilities, so much of our life is circulated around, I know I have to do this at this particular time, at this particular day, and we get really like locked into responsibility. So it can be really hard, I think, to build time for fun and exciting and unpredictable things in our life, or at least make space for it, right? So that's something that I don't know, I've just been kind of thinking about it, like do it for the plot, right? And I think a big way of doing it for the plot is, or a big way to do it for the plot is to start being more open to the unexpected, like start being more open to situations and circumstances that they might seem a little bit challenging or daunting or a little weird or outside of your comfort zone, but they can bring exponential change to your life, right? I guess this is one way I've kind of looked at it. Maybe it's a little easier for me because I don't really, like I'm very spontaneous. I love to like take trips randomly. So for example, right? And I'll share this and then give you guys a little bit of a backstory so you can kind of see where I'm coming from with it. Or I'll give you a backstory so you can see where I'm coming from and then share this. I took a trip to San Diego like 2 weekends in a row, like not this past weekend, but the one before that and the one before that. And honestly, like I had no prior plans to go. But I just kind of needed to get away, needed a little bit of a break. And so I just called up one of my friends and was like, I'm coming. Like, are you available? And I just packed a bag really quickly and took off. And I didn't really have a plan per se of what I was going to do when I got there. But I was like, okay, do I have the time right now? And am I going to be available to do it? Perfect. Okay, let's go. And that was one of the most, while it was kind of, it was unplanned, it wasn't anything set in stone or anything, it really helped me a lot. Like it helped me to clear my head. Life is definitely a lot slower in San Diego. And it just helped me to clear my head a little bit. And I ended up meeting some really, really cool new people. And, started now at this point now, like I've been down there 2 times. So now that I'm going down there, I look forward to it because, I could go and I can do stuff by myself and everything. But if I want to, I could call one of them up or a few of them up and be like, hey, like, let's go grab a drink or let's go check out a movie or, just go do something fun, right? And I think that sometimes what that at least showed me is that sometimes we get so stuck in our routines and in our patterns of life that we find really, really comfortable, that doing something new and doing something different feels very daunting, challenging, strange, weird, out of place. You feel like a fish out of water, which doesn't always feel good, right? Like it feels strange to sometimes be outside of your scope. And I guess there's 2 things I've noticed about this. Sometimes we make changes to our routine, and then sometimes life makes changes to our routine. And so the reason why I think it's really important to start finding ways or finding opportunities to do it for the plot, essentially, outside of your comfort zone, or really doing it for the plot is just saying yes, right? And I'm not talking about saying yes to stuff that you don't want to do because of other people's expectations, or I know we actually talked about that last week, and I think a few episodes before we're talking about doing it because you want to do it and not because of someone else's thought or expectation. Excuse me. But y'all bear with me. I'm fighting allergies / a potential cold. So I am taking every vitamin under the sun right now to make sure that I do not get sick. So y'all bear with me on this one, or don't. But I'm just letting you know the truth. But yeah, it's just like I think that the ability to get outside of your comfort zone and to be comfortable or to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, I think that's a skill, and it takes work. Um, I mean, I think so many of us, if we're really, really being honest, we can get really locked into the routine of, okay, I start work, like I said earlier, you might have a gym time that you do, you might come home, okay, I know I'm going to watch Netflix at this time before I go to bed or whatever. And we're living a life that is so focused on routine that we're not finding any new motion. We're not finding any new inspiration inside of that. And so, yeah, we're comfortable with routine. We're comfortable with the status quo of what we're used to. But there's this lingering discomfort. There's this lingering lack of excitement or zest for our lives and in our lives that we start experiencing. And I think a big part of it, really for me, as I'm exploring this, it's really boiling down to what do I value in life? And once you know the principles of what you value, like this is something I'm actually having to work out right now. I'm starting to write down, like, what do I like? What do I enjoy? Like what's, and if I don't know in that moment, or if maybe I feel a little blank, because I know sometimes we pull out that sheet of paper or that pencil, pen, whatever, or you go on the notes on your phone and you start thinking to yourself, you're like, it's almost like you know what you like and what works if nobody tells you, or if you don't have to actually write it down. But the moment you have to start thinking about it and writing it down and getting real about it, your brain just, it feels like it's like trying to explain what a pencil is. You know, have you ever tried to explain like what a pencil is or what Wi-Fi is or what is the internet? It's like we all know these things in our brain, right? We all know what that is. But having to explain it, like if you're explaining it to a kid or someone who's never experienced that for the first time, that's like telling someone, what's a tomato? That's never had a tomato. And you're like, I don't know, it's a vegetable. I've heard some people say it's a fruit. It's a vegetable, but like, how do you describe it? You know what I mean? Like, even if you ask someone to describe sometimes these really, really tiny things, it can be really hard to do, right? And so I think that sometimes when you're starting to think through the things you like, it can start showing you, once you start getting outside of like the meandering through life and going through like the motions, you start realizing like, do I even know myself? And if I do know myself, why am I not taking the chances to do the things that I want to do, or that I at least have been thinking about? And I've just found like a really, really practical way that helps with that, since we're all about like giving like some actionable steps here. Like, I don't want to just talk about themes. Like, I really want to give y'all some practical steps. That's really important for me, at least. I'm gonna tell y'all. I think something that's really, really helpful is just write down what you value in life. So if you don't know, maybe some new steps you want to take, write down, okay, what do I value? I value peace in my life. Okay, cool. Well, I'll give you 3. So 1 is peace. 2 might be adventure. Okay. The 3rd one could be, like, what do you even say? The 3rd one could be like freedom. Okay, so we'll go peace, excitement, freedom. Those are like 3 things we could give you guys there. So if you say that you value those things, so for peace, if I value peace in my life, am I creating conditions for me to have a peaceful environment? Is my environment clean? Am I finding opportunities to go and, get away to a quiet place, maybe read a book, go to a park, go to the beach, go, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can start building that. If I like adventure, okay, well, when was the last time you took a trip? Do you need to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars or thousands of dollars or hundreds of dollars to do that? Maybe, but it just depends on where you're trying to go. Am I going 45 minutes down the road, or am I going 4 hours by road, or on a plane, whatever. Once you kind of know what you value in life, I'm learning that you start prioritizing those things in actions. It's almost like if you're writing a story or writing like a script, and I can probably communicate this the best way through this because I love film and TV and everything like that. When you are writing a story or coming up with a narrative for a character, you start with certain themes that you want to get across, or like the themes that you're thinking about, and then you have to like actually build the characters' like personality, their background, their kind of like their archetype, their character handle, if you will, something we talk about in acting school all the time. And then from that point, that's where the actual like dialogue comes from. Because now that you know how this character is navigating the world in terms of their thought process and the way that they are, then you can actually start building dialogue, which then leads to action, tension, plot, the shift in the story, so on and so forth, right? And so I think simplified in so many ways, that applies to us as well. It's like you might just be sleepwalking through life. And that's a really kind of scary thing. Once you step outside of it and you wake up, you start realizing like, yo, am I sleepwalking through this thing called life? Am I so locked into the routine of what I'm doing that I'm not really making space for the experience to be something that I'm not only having, but that I'm gleaning from? That is, it's leaving its mark on me. It's resonating with me. And so I don't know, like, is your routine, I guess the question I'd ask, is your routine resonating with you? Or are you just going flatly through the motions with action but no affect? Are you having progression without progress? I love it when you see those, I can always use it in this form. When you're playing like those video games, right? I remember one of the games I used to love playing when I was growing up was Assassin's Creed, and I still play that game to this day. But obviously, when it's new and it's exciting, that's always fun. But the reason why I use this example of a game is that a lot of those open world type games, they have so many options, right? And so I remember I was playing like the first Assassin's Creed, you got Altair, dude's all like dressed up in his gear and everything like that. And there would come these moments where you would have conversations with different people. And of course there are plot conversations that are in the story, because you're gonna talk to this dude, and this dude is gonna tell you how to get to the contact so that you can go and take out the dude that you're trying to take out. And of course you go jump and you hear the bird goes, and then you see the man that the character dive into the barrel or the carriage full of hay or whatever, and then you grab someone and you pull them in and you stab them in there, and then you whatever. Yeah, it's been a while since I played that game. But the thing I thought was always interesting about that is sometimes I'd play that game and I was so caught up with trying to get to the next level and find the next dude to take out that I didn't get to really explore the world that was around me, the openness of the world that was around me, and get to meet all the different characters that were part of the story that actually informed not only the way that I saw the game, but how I progressed through it. And then I would have conversations with some of my friends and like, oh, dude, that's really cool that you finished the game, but did you ever experience like this part? Did you go to like the blacksmith here and get taught to him? But I'm like, wait, you got what kind of upgrade? You got what weapon upgrade? That's kind of crazy. And I realized as I was kind of reflecting on that, and I'm talking to y'all about this even now, sometimes we can be having the same experiences as other people in our life, but we're not getting the same richness. We're not being enriched even though we're having the same experiences. And while that's a crazy thing to get out of an Assassin's Creed game example, I think it's so relevant to our life. in the sense that we are constantly experiencing on the daily things that are common. We are, if you're driving, you get on the freeway, you'll try to get to your destination, you're flying, you go to a red light, you stop at a red light, you stop at a stop sign. Hopefully you're doing that. But there's a certain routine that we have that we can almost start tuning out life, because there's so much of it that we're experiencing in a very common way that we're not stopping and learning to take control of the frame that we're living in. So it's like, how are we framing the decisions that we're making, right? If I value adventure, am I like making the time and saving money for that? Or am I like going out all the time and spending that money on other things like drinks and whatnot, when I could save that and I could be like, yo, now I can actually have these things, but on like the Virgin Islands somewhere, like with my feet kicked up, wind breezing through my hair. I can see the clear crystal blue water that does not move. And I can see everything in it, and I experience the peace of that island that I so desperately want to be on. And it's just like, we can go through those routines. And I think sometimes routines can actually restrict us. And I want to talk about that for a second. There is a restrictive power in routines that if all you do is you're limiting yourself to what you think is logically possible, you will never experience the limitless possibilities of your existence. And I know that as we sometimes get older and we're dealing with circumstances over and over again that are repetitive, and it seems to confirm the bias that we have about our lives, like what we can do and what we can't do, that can be a really, really discouraging aspect. So for example, like let's say you got out of a relationship and you are like really, really bad, right? Like you've been in a long-term relationship that you've gotten so bad at talking to someone you're interested in, right? You see someone that you think is good looking, or that something about them, you're just like, I just got to talk to them, And you just start thinking about like all the reasons why you shouldn't, or all the reasons why it won't work, or like, oh, they won't want to talk to me, or they'll think I'm weird. It's like, when you're doing all that thinking in your brain instead of acting, you've created a whole story in your brain that you will never get to know will be true or false. And that story is more real to you than the actual interaction of stepping outside of your comfort zone and trying. If you're always thinking to yourself, man, like I'll never lose weight if I'm trying to get healthier or eat better, I'll never lose weight, this is what I love to eat, and you don't take that step towards trying something different, or just seeing what it is, or taking that fitness class that seems really like, okay, I'm used to going to the gym and lifting, that doesn't work for me, so why would this work? It's like the limitations that we give ourselves that are not necessarily applicable to reality, but it's just the story in our head. I think sometimes that's more dangerous than the reality that we end up living out. And even more dangerous than that is the self-fulfilling prophecy that we begin to live out and experience as a result of our own personal limitations. So if people are always telling you that you're a loser and that you're never going to amount to anything, and you believe that because of your life experiences, and you don't try to take a step back and reframe and do things for yourself, and not because of their opinion or trying to prove them wrong, but because of what you want to prove your own self wrong and give yourself a shot at it. I just wonder, like, how much of your life and my life, how much are we holding ourselves back from doing what we actually can do because of what has happened in our past, or what we're afraid of, or what we don't think is possible? And maybe that new, improved, exciting, different, still flawed, but with greater perspective and with more growth and with more courage person that we can be. Maybe that person is being held back not by a person that talks down to you, not by a experience that you've had, but maybe it's being held back by you because you're so comfortable in the zone that you're in. I remember something that I heard somebody say to me, and this always sticks with me. There is no change in comfort, and there is no comfort in change. That is so key. Like, there is literally, if you want to be comfortable in your life, if you've reached that point where all you want is comfort, hey, if you want to be there, I'm not going to force you out of that spot. So feel free to tune out 100% if you're just like, Joseph, I like where I'm at. I don't want to change anything. But before you tune out, can I just submit to you that that might be your life's defense mechanism against the fear of going beyond? Because it's really, really hard for me to think that there are those of you out there, you're hearing what I'm saying right now, and you might have that bristling effect, that feeling of like, I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to talk about this. But it's maybe not just me. It's your friends that are telling you it and you don't want to hear them. But it's hard for me to think that you have that just as a default. I really think that a lot of those types of responses come from the fear of jumping out into something that you may have experienced failure in before. Or maybe a failure in a completely different situation is just another indicator of why in this one you shouldn't do anything. And so, like, I want you to know too, like, even if you tune this out for that particular reason, I relate to you. And I still see the winner in you. I believe in the winner in you. And I believe that you in this place right now, that dream that you have, that change that you want to make in life that feels so uncomfortable, it feels so out of reach that you don't ever think that you'll make more than $50,000 a year, $70,000 a year, $100,000 or more. You don't think you're ever going to be able to change that nasty habit in your life. You don't ever think that you're going to be that person who's not insecure, or at least not living from insecurity. And so you just gotten to the point where you're just like, this is just who I am. Deal with it. Can I challenge you that, and this might sound a little different for you and uncomfortable, but can I challenge you with the thought of, you don't know who you are yet? Can I just challenge you with that thought? The person that you think you are, that's not you. The person that you've got, the person that you've built secure walls around and you've gotten used to, you think your walls are you? That's not you. Because you don't know fully who you are and what you are yet. You might be listening to this and being like, I know who I am. Don't tell me who I am. I know exactly. You don't know me. All this other stuff. Let me ask you this. 10 years ago, if you were to look back at the person that you are today and the person that you were when you were 15 or 20 or 25 or whatever age you are right now, are you still the same person back then that you are today? Because if you are, slow down, get a reality check. It's time for something to change. It's time for some change. But I think we use these terms like, oh, this is just who I am, accept me or whatever. It's our way of resisting the pain of what we feel in being stuck. We're just resisting the pain of being trapped or feeling trapped in the space that we're in. And so what we've done is we've taken a situation and we've made a lifestyle out of it. We took a temporary space and we made it a place to dwell in, a place to live in. And people are looking into the house of our life and the landscape of our experience. You know, you might be dating or you might be, in your friend groups or you're working a job and you're like, well, I just want them to accept me for me. This is who I am. I want to be me. And what you don't realize is that all the situations that are in your life and the people that are in your life, they are there to do many things, but I would say one of two. They're either there for an opportunity, a lesson, or both. And maybe that's what we need. Maybe we encounter people and circumstances to give us the impetus, the inspiration, the almost ultimatum to change things. But because we're so stuck in that rolling routine of life, there's routines of our physical life, there's routines of our emotional life, there's routines of our spiritual life, of our mental processing. And I just want to encourage you today, like, what would happen maybe if you might feel yourself bristling up against this? I just want to encourage you, what would happen if you took a step back and stepped off the gas of your ego and of your hurt and of your pain? Because it's real. I don't deny that. No one could ever deny that. It's real. I feel it too. But what if you tried something different? What if you decided to do it differently for the plot? And what if just doing it for the plot to see what happens in your life could lead to the greatest change that you've ever encountered in your existence? What if that change led you to become the person that you look back 5 months, 5 years from now, and you don't even recognize that person, but it's for the better? Stepping outside of your comfort zone, changing the way you do what you do, it's based off of your value. It should be based off of what you value. So if you don't know what to do, start with what you value. As I mentioned earlier, peace, adventure. I forget the third one. But if you're looking at those types of things, right, and you're saying to yourself, this is what I'm looking for in my life right now. I don't want to live like this anymore. Or it's cool to have a routine, but it's getting kind of monotonous. Or if you've just become comfortably numb, I just want to remind you, you're alive. You are alive. If you're listening to this or watching this right now, or if someone shared this with you, you're alive. And that means you don't get to be a slave or a prisoner of the circumstances around you. You can always make a change. You can always switch it up. You can always do it differently. But you have to make that choice. You have to make that choice. What better time to make that choice than today? Give it a try. See how you feel about it. It's just an idea, just a suggestion, just saying. Well, with that being said, I just want to thank y'all for taking a moment to, listen to this episode. If there's anything that you've been thinking about that's relevant to what I've been sharing today, please go ahead, let me know. Go ahead and leave us a DM, leave us a comment on Instagram or TikTok at _ as I said earlier, at _ Full Circle Pod on Instagram. On TikTok, it's just at Full Circle Pod. Let me know what's going on in your thought process. What are you trying to do differently? What are you going to say yes to in this next adventure in your life? What are you open to? Are you at least open? I want to hear from you. If you disagree with what I said today and you have an issue with it, I still want to hear from you. I want to hear from you. These are times for us to begin to have these authentic conversations, and we can share in that, because ultimately I believe all of us want to grow and we want to be better. And so I want to hear from you. Go ahead and shoot us a follow and subscribe to us, like and subscribe, and share this video if you've enjoyed it. Listen, I love doing this. I really, really do. And I'm excited to see what new stories and new journeys and new relationships and connections and opportunities come out of you taking your step outside of your comfort zone that come from you doing it for the plot. Because the beautiful thing about it is that when you surrender and you just take a step, all the unexpected things that you could have never foreseen play out and fall into place. So once again, as I always say, every single time, here we go. I love y'all. Have a great one from your favorite brother. Take care. We'll see you next time. Peace.